This was the old confidence interval, okay, that we're given in chapter 4 of your book. It's for 95% confidence interval. Now, what happened was, the course got updated, okay? So when the course got updated, what they brought in was the proportion. Okay, so what they brought in was this. They start going on about the sample proportion, delta p, and delta p equals p into 1 minus p, all divided by the square root of n. Okay, and now the confidence interval for 95% would be your p-value here, and then in between the two of these, you're going to have 1.96 plus, sorry, excuse me, just 1 second. It's going to be your p-value is your p-value, your p-hat plus 1.96 delta p, and the other side is going to be p minus 1.96 delta p. How do I know that this is specifically talking about the 95% confidence interval? The 1.96. Okay, so you used to only have one choice, then you updated the course, okay, and now you have two choices, okay. Now, in the old one, it used to be 1 over root n would give you the 1 over root n would give you the margin of error. Remember that? So this one here is talking about the margin of error being 1 over root n. This one here is talking about the margin of error being plus or minus 1.96 delta p. Now, what you guys are going to have to do is you're going to have to make a decision on what one are you going to use and why. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce this down and bring it on to the next page where we're going to have to make a choice. Okay, now I look at this question here. What sample size would be required to have a margin of error of 0.05? Do you see that? A margin of error of 0.05. Okay, so you see that we aren't given any sample statistic. Does everybody see that? There's no sample statistic given. So there's no way I can't calculate any p-values, because it doesn't say 36 out of 180 people like whiskers or cats like whiskers, so there's nothing we can do there, okay? So what you have to do straight away is you go, okay, 1 over root n is basically equal to 1 over root n, that is. 1 over root n equals 0.05. You guys happy with that? Now your 0.05 then is going to be, we're going to rearrange it as 1 over 0.05 equals square root of n. Square both sides. Can anybody tell me what we get? Just calculator job. 1 divided by 0.05 squared, guys. Okay. So I need a sample size of 400 to calculate an error in the 95%. You know, with a 95% confidence, an error of was it 0.05? Okay. The next one is 2.5%. What is 2.5% in decimals? 0.025. And then 1 over root n is going to be equal to. Root n is going to be equal to what? Sorry? 0.025. And what do we get this time around when we square both sides? Once again, just trust the calculator and don't try and do it in your head. 1,600 or 1,600. Okay, so your n size is 1,600. Okay. I just want to, words for word, what it says is, so if I get rid of this question we just did, we don't really need to worry about that now. We're just going to worry about a p-value question, okay? Now, what it says is, word for word, is that the confidence interval, the 95% confidence interval for population proportion is this here. That's your confidence interval. It's your p-value plus or minus your 1.96 square root of p 1 minus p all over the square root of n. You happy with that? Okay. Now, what I can do next is I can modify this question, and what I'm going to modify this question is I'm going to modify it into just give you a bit of wording here, okay? What I'm just going to do is something like this. I'll just do the one they have here. Okay, 170 house owners out of 250 own one pet. Okay, so what we can say is first thing we can do is say find the I'll just move all this down again. 1 second. I'm in text option. Alright, that'll explain a lot. Thanks. So 170 house owners owned one pet, okay? So then your questions can look something like this, okay? It goes, question 1 would be find the, does anyone know the language if we're using the P equation? Proportion. Find the standard error of the sampling distribution of the proportion at the 95% interval, okay? So we'll just do that there. Find the standard find the standard error of the sampling distribution of the proportion. It's really, the language is very hard. The key word is proportion, isn't it? So when you see the word proportion, you know you're using your p-values at the 95% confidence interval. Now how do we do that? Anybody know how we do that? So find the p-value starting off. So p-value is going to be, what's a 170 out of 250? Which is going to be 0.68. And once you have your 0.68, what can you do then? Get your delta p. Your delta p value is going to be 0.6. Will somebody do this? 0.68. 1 minus 0.68. Now what's our n value? N value? 250. As it turns out, I have it handy here actually. It's 0.029. Okay. Now our proportion. Okay. So 95% of our diagram, 95% of all our results are going to lie in this range. Okay. What is the range we're going to be talking about here? So 95% of our answers are going to lie in the range P. Now, the first thing you got to do is you got to multiply this by minus 1.96 and take it away from 0.68. So you're going to have 0.68 is your P value minus 1.96 times times what, guys? 0.092. Your 0.092. 0.029, sorry. 2.9, yeah? 2.95. Is it 2.95?
Yeah, it is 0.29.
We'll just agree with 0.29 just for the sake of question. I'm just going with what they have in here, okay? 0.0623, so let's just call it 0.623, okay? So this one is 0.623, and what's the other one going to be? 0.7. So you just go to your calculator and you just do a really quick change, and what you say was, Colgan? 0.73. 0.73, so 0.7384, so 0.737. So what we're talking about is when we do this survey with 250 people, we're expecting our results to always be between 62.3% and 73.7%, 95% of the time. Okay, now next thing we're going to do is what sample size would be required to have a margin of error of 0.05. Okay, now what is our margin of error again? Our margin of error is plus or minus, and it says it here, the confidence interval. So it's specific to the 95% interval. Okay, so we're talking about the 95% interval, and we're going to talk about a margin of error of 1.96 delta sigma p. Now, what happens is we're going to do plus or minus 1.96 this here. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of the. This is my confidence interval, okay, or my margin of error. And what we're going to say is that 0.05 has to equal it. Now, in our last answer, we said it was in between. We said it was in between 63 and roughly 73, wasn't it? That was the answer to the last question. The difference between the two of them is roughly 10%, isn't it? So it's 5% to the left of the middle and 5% to the right of the middle. It means our answer should be around the 250 range. Okay, let's see if it is. So let's find out for sure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do our 0.05. 0.05 is our margin of error. So plus or minus 0.05 must be equal to plus or minus our 1.96 p over p bracket 1 minus p all over n. Is that right? Now, we keep the p-value of our statistic found in the first one. So because we're in a position to find the statistic, see the way we have information about the statistic. In the first question we had no information about our p-value, but we've already been given p-value information up here. So that means we can try out the p-value. Okay, so we're going to have 1.96, the square root of, what did we say it was again? 0.068. 0.068 times 1 minus 0.068 all over the square root of n, and that's going to equal 0.05. Okay, first thing I want you to do is divide 0.05 by 1.96. 0.05 divided by 1.96? 5 over what? Give it a fraction if you want. Fraction's okay. 0.0255. Okay. Can somebody multiply 0.68 by 0.32? 0.68 by 0.32? 0.2176 all over n. Can we square both sides? 0.2176 all over n, and then the other side should be that squared.
6.5.
Just here?
6.5.
Okay. 0.255 squared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, 6.25, my bad. So, what do you say, 6.25 by 10 to the minus?
6.5 by 10 to the minus 4.
6.5 by 10 to the minus 4, okay, that's no bother. We can keep it in scientific notation, it's no big deal. Cross multiply, 0.2176 divided by 6.5 by 10 to the minus 4. Oh yeah, not 0.5, not 0.65. 6.5 by 10 to the 4. Anybody? N equals 330.64. So we either have the confidence or we don't. So does it go up or down? Up. 335 people. It takes 335 people to have a confidence interval of your plus or minus 5%, right? Now, if I go, just remember 335, okay? Just let me go back to the very beginning of this, alright? So remember the last answer. So we had 335, and the question before that, when I did it out, just want to find it here. That's it there, right? So, guys, what's the difference between what's the middle value of that, if you will? What we had here. So you can see there's a difference of around 11.4, isn't there? 11.4 divided by 2. That was plus or minus 5.7, right? 250 people got us a plus or minus 5.7. Remember, the more people you have, the more accurate you're going to be, yeah? And we just got an answer of 334, wasn't it? The 334 brings it down to plus or minus 5%. Yeah, because 0.05. And then if we were to do this question for the 0.25, what's your prediction? A bigger number or a smaller number for n?
Bigger.
So you can see we're actually quite consistent there, aren't we? In our numbers. Connor?